now I'm going to introduce our first speaker, the most wonderful and elegant Carrie.
Thank you. Lovely. Thank you for that very kind introduction. I'll step here. Is the mic all okay, Laura? Brilliant. Because I'm the first one. I was told I was a guinea pig, so let's just see how this goes. Okay. Firstly, I'd like to say how much of a pleasure it is to be here at the Animas. I'm an ex-Animas student myself, and I wish you all a super inspiring day. Now, I was asked, the brief I was given for this talk was, what does it take to succeed as a coach? So that got me thinking. Basically, success looks and feels differently to every one of us here. And for me, I had to think hard about what success meant to me and what coaching success means to me. So you have to bear with me. This is how my mind works, okay? So I thought of segments of an orange. So if you imagine a rich, juicy orange, and as you peel away each section, you become aware of how that makes up the whole. So what I'm going to do now is going to unpeel the orange of what coaching success means to me. Now, my first one is growth, and this is key to me. Growth is so in line with what success means to me. It is my why. I have a thirst for personal growth. It is really, really strong in me. And I ask myself often, when I actually get up here and have to talk now, my personal growth is what steps in. It is my why. It is, as I said, sorry, just a moment, please. So, I feel growth as an unquenchable thirst. It's basically why I do everything I have to do. So, how do I grow? Essentially, I challenge myself. If I'm asked to do something that scares me, I do it. I'm the opposite of analysis paralysis. What one person said to me is, basically, the best remedy for self-doubt is action. So that is my mantra. Basically, I run my coaching business very intuitively. So if it feels right to me, I do it, and if it doesn't sit well with me, I don't. I've just learnt to trust myself at a very deep level. Now, I study and learn from the top coaches in the world. Why? Because I believe that they are the top coaches for a reason. And what I do is like a magpie, I pick and choose what is important to me and what resonates with me, and then I fuse that into my coaching style, which is uniquely me. So I've become a blend, if you will, of many different coaches' styles and sort of amalgamated them and blended them into becoming the coach that I am today. I'm a strong believer in authenticity, and I believe if you are authentic, you will attract the right people and situations into your life. And I believe that this has been the cornerstone to my success. And it's really interesting that when I stepped into my identity as a coach, things really started to roll. Okay. The only way we can live is if we grow. The only way we can grow is if we change. And the only way we can change is if we learn. The only way we can learn is if we are exposed. And the only way we can become exposed is to throw ourselves out into the open. Do it. Throw yourself. See Joy Bell. Now, the next section of my orange is lifestyle. Now, the purest expression of success to me is being able to live the quality of life that I want, to be able to live that life in full. I believe that sorry, I've jiggled up my notes, apologies. So let me just wing it. It's what I'm best at doing anyway. So lifestyle, as I said, is very, very important to me. And I had to think deeply about what is important to me in my life. And I had to really envisage the life that I wanted for myself, and also to be very, very clear in the priorities in my life. So I came up with 3 main priorities that are important to me. The first one is love, the second is joy, and the third one is peace. Now, love is important to me, to be surrounded by love in my personal life, but also to extend that love through my work to the people that I work with, my clients and my friends. When it comes to joy, I believe that we all deserve buckets full of joy in our life, and I always ensure that I have as much joy as I possibly can. Also, peace. Peace is really important to me. You know, that sense of stillness and peace that you get when life just flows and you are in the moment, present to the present, as my mentor says. This is really important to me. Also, health is right up there, and I have to make sure that I give myself time for cooking for the meals, making sure I go out to exercise, long walks with my dog, which I love, and also to go out dancing. This is all key. This is all really, really important to me, and I have to honour this in my life. Now, I have a huge Italian family that are scattered all around the world, and look at little Finley here. He's the cheekiest monkey ever, that one. Basically, and what's really important is for me to spend quality time with all my friends and family. This is all what features in creating the lifestyle that I want for myself. Now, So what's important is, with a lifestyle and being your own boss, is you can create the life that you want for yourself. So you can choose when to work, and you can organize your week. The whole idea is organizing your work around your lifestyle instead of your life around your work, which happens to most people. Now, what I love about being a coach is that I work 3 to 4 days a week, and I have the rest of the time to basically prepare talks and give talks, which is something that I love to do, write my book, and also ensure that I have enough time for all the good stuff that I want to do. The next section of my orange is impact. Now, this is really very important to me, because the more that I can be strong in my message, the more I can get the fact of the importance of coaching. When I think about basically the impact that I want to make, it's really important that I look out at you today and I think about that now. Apologies for me, So, the impact is important because when I witness the profound effect that coaching has on people's lives, I believe that we need to spread this message so we can help people to get along. It's my why I'm standing here in front of you, and why I believe it's so important to positively challenge the idea of coaching. My message is coaching changes lives, and it encourages, supports, and positively challenges to facilitate an impression of full potential. Now, there is a flicker in people's consciousness that says that coaching basically is something that you go to in an extreme, because basically my clients, they come to me usually when they've reached a tipping point, when they can't go on anymore. And what I would very much like to see is I would like to see coaching as something that is part of day-to-day life, that people come to keep themselves on track and to get the full benefit of what life has to offer. Now, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Now, I see this in people's lives, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And I'm here preaching to the converted, but yes, there is an alternative. Yes, there is a way of moving your life in a fulfilling and joyful direction, and that takes one step, and that's get a coach. Now, it took me 2 years to have the courage to stick my face up on my banner. It really took quite a long time. But I came to the conclusion that as I was my brand, and as also I firmly believe in my coaching and the change I had to offer, then I had to have the courage to put myself up there. But what was really interesting is that once I actually popped myself up there and I stepped into my identity as a coach, impact is about spreading the message and being passionate about what coaching has to deliver. It's my opinion that success as a coach is about crystallizing a coaching style and then being comfortable with your coaching message. Success is not the key to happiness. Happiness is the key to success. If you love what you're doing, you will be successful. The next section of my orange is finances. Now, this is a really interesting one because there is this idea in heart-centered businesses that to make a good living from helping other people is somehow not the right thing to do, not for the greater good, and that we should put other people first. In my thoughts are that, sorry, just a minute. I believe that this is where the fear of charging comes from and the fear of stepping into our own self-worth. My thoughts is that if we haven't come to the realization of the incredible life change that we have to offer, are we in a position to encourage our clients to work through their issues of their own self-worth? My thoughts are also, I am a very strong believer that we can only bring our clients up to the level that we have attained ourselves. So if, for example, I'm still struggling with the idea of my self-worth, am I able to help my clients to achieve self-worth for themselves? When I come to my clients, I see the financial transaction as twofold. One, it's a client's commitment to the coaching, but it's also a reflection of my self-worth as a coach. I believe that as a catalyst to client transformation, I'm worth every penny. Now, did I always think this way? For people who knew me earlier, I laugh and I chuckle because this certainly was not the case. I actually struggled with my worth. I always believed myself, my ability as a coach. However, when it came to my finances, I was like the ostrich and I stuck my head deeply, deeply in the sand and hoped it would all go away. Now, my breakthrough moment came when I was in my BNI networking group and one of my colleagues, when I was discussing my prices and I was concerned about what to charge, he leant over to me and he whispered, "Low expectations, low prices create low expectations." And that was my breakthrough moment. It was like a light bulb, so I went home and I doubled my prices then. The transformation, I think the most important thing I would like you to get from this talk is that the life transformation that we offer as coaches is priceless. And I believe very firmly that a good coaching practice goes hand in hand with a good standard of living. Because I'm worth it, I couldn't resist Chewy, and you're worth it too. So, making a difference. Now, success to me is making a difference in people's lives. It's why I get up in the morning and it's what drives me through my day. It is my why. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Simply because it's the most important thing to me. Now, for those of you who don't know me, I'm a nicheless coach. So I struggled in the beginning to find a niche, because all the marketing strategists tell you that you need to find a niche in order to identify a market and then identify the lack and become the solution. This is very much what you're told in all the marketing books. So I did struggle to find a niche. However, I've now come to accept my nicheless state as an asset. It's become my coaching marketing message, if you will. Basically, when people ask me, oh, what area of coaching do you specialize in? I say that I believe that life doesn't fit into neat little boxes, but overflows into many. That I'm a life coach and I coach people about their life. That my coaching is bespoke and tailor-made to fit the individual. And that I coach according to a person's needs and not a one-fits-all approach. Now, that's just an idea of how you can create a message around the sort of coach that you are. Now, I've become very, very comfortable with that. I'm also very comfortable about being a nicheless coach. However, I would say that if you have a real passion about one area of coaching, go for it. What you need to do is to discover your voice and then express why that is important to you. It is essential about discovering and being comfortable with and resonating with your own personal voice, because that was what will attract clients to you. Basically, I feel that we're all here because we want to make a difference. If you think you are too small to be effective, you've never been in bed with a mosquito. So, let's do... So, life purpose. I believe that everyone is born with a life purpose, something that reflects our talents and that we're really passionate about. It's basically something that makes us come alive. Now, how do I know I'm living my life purpose? Simple. My heart sings. And I think success in life is about finding something that makes your heart sing and then finding the strength and the ability to go out and do exactly that. So, when I look through my life, I can see lots of different threads. And it's quite interesting when I look back on the different effects that they have on me. Now, I used to be a session musician. I used to be employed by record companies to go and tour with bands. I used to play drums and percussion. And it was a really exciting time for me, lots of traveling, lots of camaraderie with musicians, with my musician friends. However, it taught me a really important skill set. And that basically is all about understanding people when they're under emotional, psychological, and physical stress, because it is incredibly stressful for the musicians on tour. You don't get enough sleep. You're always expected to perform, and then you have all the group dynamics. And I ended up actually being the go-to person for the musicians on tour. I didn't realize then anything about coaching, but it was interesting that that showed up then. Basically, my son, Max, I brought him up as a single mother. Now, this was a really challenging time because I was balancing a job, university, and also being there for my son. However, this challenging time has developed a really strong bond between us. And what I've learnt, above all, is one, unconditional love, and secondly, how to manage, juggle everything. Excellent time management skills. So, I also, photography, which is what I do, and was also very, very close to my heart. When my son was old enough, I embarked on 5 years of study involving photography, film, and digital media. And I was in a university environment with as a very, very, very mature student. But it was really wonderful to be in that environment. And basically, it fed my love of learning, and it just resonated with me because I am the eternal student. So what happened to me when I left university, which often happens to many people in their lives, is that I stumbled into a job of managing one hot yoga studio that very quickly became 3. Now, I chuckle because this is a perfect example of a job that lands at your feet, is really convenient, pays the bills, but drains your soul. So I withstood it for 8 years. Now, however, looking back, the huge plus is that I learned excellent people management skills. And it is this skill set that now allows me to go into companies and give talks and hold workshops on positivity in the workshop and in the workplace and work culture. So when I look back at all these different threads coming together, I see them as weaving together the sort of woolly jumper that I am today. And it all seems to have happened with a beautiful synchronicity. So you are the sum total of everything you've ever seen, heard, eaten, smelt, been told, forgot. It's all there. Everything influences each of us. And because of that, I try to make sure that my experiences are positive. Maya Angelou. Basically, my coaching is life coaching from the heart. It's quite interesting that people tend to think that coaches have it all sorted out, whereas in fact my experience is that coaches come to train to be coaches and then to set up coaching practices because of something that's happened in their lives, which has sort of generated a desire to want to go out there and help other people with their life. So when I reflect back on my life, I have many rich experiences. I've made mistakes, I've picked myself up again, but I have come to the realization that we can make our life anything that we want it to be. I am powerfully positive, and this is how I coach, and it's how I live my life. We cannot change our past, we cannot change the fact that people will act in a certain way, we cannot change the inevitable. The only thing we can do is to play on the one string we have, and that is our attitude. I'm convinced that life is 10% what happened to me and 90% how I react to it. And so it is with you. We are in charge of our attitude. Now, I've sort of pulled apart my success orange, if you will, and I just thought, if I was in your position, what I would like to hear is I would like to hear about clients, because we're all coaches. So what I wanted to do was to share a couple of my clients with you. And they're the clients that have warmed my heart, that have been the most challenging, the most ones that I just wanted to give up on at one stage, but who powered through to the most amazing life transformations. So my first one is Harry. So basically, Harry was sent to me by his uncle, who's also his boss. And it was basically Harry's last chance because he was about to be fired. And his uncle had only taken him on as a favor to his brother. So basically, there was Harry in front of me. So his background was of a very dominant, abrasive, hard father and a very colluding, submissive mother. So when Harry came to me to see me, he was very withdrawn. He is also virtually non-communicative, apart from monosyllabic responses. And he was, as I said, really, really withdrawn. Now, we started the coaching. Okay, so 3 sessions in, I was still doing most of the talking and trying to furiously to bring Harry out. And I actually started to think that maybe coaching wasn't for Harry at all. Maybe I'd bitten off far more than I could chew, and I just felt I was really up against a brick wall. So interestingly enough, I spoke to Nick, and he said to me that I was engaging in the right way and just to keep going, which was excellent advice. Because that's what I do now. I just keep going. Even if I have my doubts about a certain client, I carry on powering through. And Harry was sort of my learning point, if you will. So what I decided to do with Harry is to do values with him, because basically they are your emotional drivers, and also I wanted to get him to start thinking bigger picture. So we went through the values that Harry had decided were the ones that were important to him. And what was fascinating, that every single value that we touched on, I could see Harry stepping into himself more and more. He was like finding himself after all these years. He started to become confident and really communicating with me. It was like life transformation right before my eyes. I mean, I get goosebumps now just talking about him because I couldn't believe it. I believe in coaching. I just couldn't believe the amazing transformation. And now, 6 months on, Harry has left home. He's studying for his accountancy exams, and he's also the top performer in his uncle's firm. So when I think of Harry and how he pushed on through and how he overcame such a sort of challenging beginning, it warms my heart, and he is my little star. So I'd also like to talk to you about my second client, very different, Prem. So Prem is a finance director in a well-established firm. And he came to me because he felt very powerless in his personal life. And it was this powerlessness that was starting to have a sort of domino effect on all of the other of his areas of his life, including his work. So Prem's background is that he was brought up by a very overbearing, dominant father who ruled the household, and everybody was in subservience to this man. So Prem learnt to take the line of least resistance, never to confront, and just became the peacemaker of the family. So bringing to the present day, or when he came to coaching with me, basically he was in the position where he was married with his wife and his son, and also his father was living with him. So, yes, exactly. And what happened is Prem's wife felt bullied by the father, and he was acting up in the household. So what Prem did is basically to do what he's always done, which is take the line of least resistance, not confront, and try and keep everyone happy. Now, the result of that was that nobody was happy. They were miserable, and they all blamed Prem. So he found himself in this position. Now, when we started coaching, Prem was saying to me regularly that he said he knew he had to change, he knew he had to step into his own personal power, but he actually found that his conditioning and his conditioned behavior was actually keeping him stuck. He was like a sort of push me, pull you, if you will, because he so wanted to step in his personal power, yet he was really, really fearful. It was like a sort of deadlock, if you will. So, when I started coaching with him, I started to think he was never going to budge. I just thought, this man is in this push me, pull you position. He's never going to budge. And it came to the 6th session with Prem. And he said to me that he had really got into the television program Suits, and in particular a character called Harvey Spence. Now, Harvey Spence, if you know Suits at all, I didn't actually, but he is very confident, he's very brash, he's almost bullish in a way. And Prem wanted to step into the character of Harvey Spence every time he wanted to step into his own personal power. So I was like, okay, all right, Prem, this is what you want to do. And as I often do with my clients, I said, look, if this feels right to you, then go ahead and do it. Okay? So it was with more than a little apprehension when the next week, and I was preparing my notes and preparing myself for Prem. But actually what happened was mind-blowing. So he came back and he reported to me that by stepping into the character of Harvey Spence, he had stood up to his father, relit the passion with his wife, and is now fully confident about speaking his mind at work. And I was like, okay, that's really good. But I thought, am I encouraging him to develop an alter ego? You know, I felt really out of my comfort zone. I'd never gone anywhere near this in my coaching. But as usual, as I said before, I'm very intuitive. So I thought to myself, no, this feels right, and I feel this is right with Prem, so just stick with it. My last session with Prem was to prove my point, that he had basically, Harvey, the character of Harvey had faded away, leaving Prem standing in his own personal power. It was almost as if he had to borrow this character and fit into it in order to rediscover that part of himself, the part of himself that was really repressed. So it was a real roller coaster of a journey for me as a coach. But, you know, he's up there and he's doing it. What can I say? Really well. So I shall never look at Suits and Harvey Spence again in the same way. Basically, I've talked to you a little bit about what coaching success means to me. And also, I've shared with you my clients, the ones that have really warmed my heart and who inspire me to coach. My sort of final thoughts are that on reflection, I don't believe that there's a one strategy fits all way of having a successful coaching business. I don't think there's a step-by-step guide that guarantees your success. This idea of following a magical yellow brick road and you will arrive to a perfectly formed, beautiful coaching practice. What I believe is that we're all different and that we're all authentic. And it's by honouring that authenticity and spreading that coaching message and discovering your unique voice, that is how you're going to be successful. Now, so this is a really interesting quote. The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is a reaction, both are transformed. Carl Jung. Now I see the coaching experiences as two personalities in the coaching experience. And because each of us is different and individual, we bring a completely different element to this coaching experience. And it is this personal chemical reaction between us and the client that brings about the results. Sorry. So basically, I suppose I would like to finish by asking you certain questions that I hope have been sort of prompted and provoked by the talk I've given to you now. Basically is, how do you see success? How do you see your coaching success? And also, what is important to you in your life? And also, how do you want to make a difference? Now, it's typical of a coach to end on a bunch of questions. But the reason I ask is because don't ask yourself what the world needs, but ask yourself what makes you come alive. And then go and do that. Because what the world needs is people who've come alive. Thank you. Thank you.